Hi everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Meatpacking Unpacked, brought to you by the Meatpacking District. My name is Jeffrey LaFrancois, and I am delighted to be joined by David Breslin, the DiMartini Family Curator and Director of Curatorial Initiatives, and the co-curator of the 2022 Whitney Biennial. Thank you, David, for joining us today.
Thank you, Jeffrey, for coming to the show and visiting with us in our neighborhood.
So here we are outside the Whitney Museum on Gansevoort Street, which you guys have been downtown now for 7 years. And that's awesome. So then behind us is sort of where the biennial starts, outside on the Largo here, right?
It does,
Okay.
it does. So even before you get in the building, you're encountered with these things that kind of set you off like, what the heck is this car doing on the Largo with the Whitney? So this is a work by Jason Rhodes. So this almost became like a roving studio, but it also has these different associations, an unmarked police car, a taxi.
Oh, wow.
So Adrian and I thought this would be a great way to kind of start the story.
Outside the show, and then if we walk this way, there's other stuff going on outside that's a part of the biennial also, right?
Yeah, so the monitors that you see are artworks by Tony Cokes, and Tony uses language and then pairs it with music. So it's kind of incredible at night.
So, the biennial, what is it for the museum, and what is it in the art world?
Well, for the Whitney, it's kind of our DNA. The museum was established in 1930, and 1932 was the first biennial. So it's part of the origin story. And it's really about the museum's commitment to emerging artists. You know, for years and years, now in its 80th iteration, it's become an incubator for what the museum's values are, how it sees American art.
All right, well, let's go check it out, shall we?
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Yep.
As almost everywhere you're looking.
Everywhere you look,
now
it's part of the biennial.
Great, all right. So,
thank you.
Here we are, of course, on the 5th floor, the first full floor of the museum with the show, right?
Exactly. The largest part are on the 5th and 6th floors of the museum.
Okay.
And Adrian and I wanted to create this experience where people really felt in place. We wanted people to know that they're in New York, know that they're on the West Side, realize the river's there, the city's there, to be in place. Particularly since we're coming out of a period when the only place you've known is your home.
Yeah, your apartment, that was it.
That was it. We wanted to really kind of take this as an opportunity to remind people of what this building offers. So we also wanted to create two very different experiences. This 5th floor is very open, light, airy. The 6th floor is dark, almost like a cavern. So we've created this scenario where one's a clearing and one's more a labyrinth.
And what's really interesting, you know, the architecture of the museum obviously was built for a museum.
Yeah.
We haven't seen, I don't think, a floor plate this open also, which is a really amazing experience.
I mean, this is the largest freestanding gallery in New York. And so we wanted to play up that possibility too. Renzo Piano made this beautiful building, but we also wanted to make sure that the exhibition itself felt like our times as much as possible. Precarious, changing, some days optimistic, some days not so much.
Right.
Frequently museums ask artists to do that work, to have to reflect everything. And I think the museum takes seriously, the Whitney takes seriously that it's our job as much as the artist to enact that in our work.
And then as we approach the western edge of the museum, of course, where we can see outside David Hammond's Day's End.
So when we were thinking about this piece by Jason Rhodes called Sutter's Mill, we were also thinking about the connection to David Hammond's Day's End sculpture. And what's incredible about this piece by Jason Rhodes is every Friday, a team of 4 art handlers takes it down and builds it up again. This whole neighborhood, this museum is full of activity. And Adrian and I wanted to create an exhibition where that activity felt embodied within the show. It's changing, it's alive, there's a metabolism, it's dynamic.
And that if you can even come more than once to see this show and experience it in a different way.
Exactly.
Also. And then you mentioned over here that this piece has a really exciting New York story.
Yeah, this is by an artist named Rose Selane. And Rose, in 2019, found that the MTA was auctioning off 64,000 slugs, or these counterfeit coins that people have used to get a ride on the bus. So each of these coins is something that someone has touched out of need, out of want, out of a desire to
get from A to B.
Get to A to B. Yeah, we care a lot about that New York story.
And speaking of the neighborhood and being outside, why don't we showcase one of the terraces?
Let's do it.
That is a part of the show as well.
Perfect. I kind of joke around with people like, come for the terraces, stay for the art when you visit the museum. Because during the summer, you have these great views of the city. You get to drink on the 8th floor. You have to sit in the background, the cafe. But these are 3 brand new sculptures by Charles Ray, who's an artist who's probably been in more Whitney biennials than a lot of people in kind of the modern era. Yeah,
Okay.
he's really been kind of transformative for how people think about sculpture. And so the 3 sculptures are made of 3 wildly different materials. Stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
Weighs about 15,000 pounds. So the crane had to come through the meat packers, lift it over. And I don't know if I've ever been more nervous during installation. This guy called Burger is made out of bronze. It's painted white.
Wow.
But it's incredible because it has this almost soft.
It looks so light.
It feels light, yeah. And then this sculpture that we're walking towards is made out of a milled steel, so it'll rust during the run of the show.
2022, right where we are in the stage of the world and stage of the pandemic. What do you want visitors to walk away with?
I think we set up this show as a series of propositions. The idea that art really does things.
Yep.
It does things in our communities, it does things in our personal lives, and it does things just in this experience where we have an exchange. These create opportunities for us to kind of gather and talk through things.
And of course, the Whitney, all of the programming that you guys have around the show. You have Pride programming coming up. You have things going on throughout the entire duration of the program.
Yeah, and we're up till September 5th with really kind of great programming throughout. And as we talked about, installations are changing, so even if you've come once, come again and see it in
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, David, this was wonderful.
Jeffrey, thanks for taking the
Huge
time.
congratulations
Thank
to you.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today. Stay tuned for another episode of Meatpacking Unpacked. Hear from our cast of characters from around the city and the Meatpacking District. Thanks, everybody.